Hi, welcome. I'm going to make this a lesson on parent constraint. In the in-class demonstration, I think it was a bit confusing when we got to how to release the object from the constraint. So I'm simply going to constrain, using a parent constraint, this cone to this cylinder. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to group the cone to itself. I will use the group to receive the parent constraint. I do that because if I can freely keyframe the cone, if I attach it directly, make it a constraint of the cylinder, I won't be able to keyframe the translation and rotation. It will be occupied those attributes with the input of the constraint even after I turn it off. So I'm going to select the cone and Control G to create a group. I'm going to select the cylinder and then Control in select in the outliner here the group. Make sure you're in the animation menu set, and I'm going to go up here to constrain parent options. I'm going to leave the options as they are. If I want to constrain only to one or two of the axes, or only just to translate or rotate, I'd be free to do that right here. I'm going to leave it just the way it is though and say add. Okay. So now I'm going to do a simple animation for my cylinder. I'm going to do about frame 12, I'm going to release the cone and have it move away on its own and the cylinder move in kind of the opposite direction. So I'm going to start by going to frame 1 and setting a keyframe for my cylinder. That's my start position. I'm going to go to frame 12 and I'll move this in a couple different directions here. Doesn't matter where you move it to, and I'll rotate it and I'll press set a keyframe. Now it's a little tricky part, okay? I'm going to go to the group and I'm going to set a keyframe for my weight. So when it's 1 or 100%, the constraint is active. If I make it 0, the constraint will be inactive. So I'm going to have it active and then keyframe on 13 inactive, so that I can move my object. I'm going to essentially turn it off. So I'm going to set my keyframe for this weight. I don't want to press S because I have inputs on these translate and rotate attributes. I just want to right click on the weight, key cylinder weight. I'm going to right click and I'm going to key select. I'm going to select the cone itself and set just a regular keyframe by pressing S. You'll notice that it has no inputs here, so I'm free to keyframe it. Now is a little bit of a tricky part. I want to go back to the group and go to the attribute editor and go to the parent constraint. And I want to open the constraint attributes. So here I have the rest position. So the rest position is where the object will be if I turn the constraint off. And generally it begins wherever it was picked up. So here it was picked up at the 0, 0, right here 0, 0, 0, the origin of the world. But it's here now. So I want to go up to where it says parent constraint target offsets up here. And I want to update it. So I'm going to click on the update because it's new. It's a new position. Now notice where my rest position is right here. It's right here. So if I wanted to pick it up, drop it off, and then say pick it up again, I would need to keyframe this where I dropped it. And then when I pick it up, I would update it and then key that again. So I don't have to set a key here because I'm not going to pick this up again. I'm not going to undo the constraint and then go to some other location and redo the constraint. Instead, I'm just going to drop it So I don't have to keyframe this, but I do have to update this. And you'll note that my rest position is now updated. So now I can go back to the channel box, and I can go up to frame 13, and I can set this constraint to 0. Now I'm going to animate my cylinder kind of dropping off down to here like this. Whatever. Whoops. I want to be on frame 24. Let's go to frame 24. All right, I want to be at the end when I do this. Okay, that's the keyframe. I'm going to select this object. I'm on frame 24. I'm just going to simply move it off the screen and press S. So let's see what happens. There we go. So again, the key to this here is going to the attribute editor and going to the position where it's going to be dropped, or the last position here I did before this weight turns to 0. So I went to frame before, literally, and I updated its position, the parent constraint offsets. I updated it, which updated the rest position. And that's what you need to do to drop off the parent constraint.